Hi everyone! It has been a hot minute. I feel like I am a Victorian child on his way to get consumption. And I also have a sty. My very first ever sty. I think this is a landmark moment in my life, but every single blink hurts. Well, enough about me and more about Guild Wars 2. We have a few things to talk about in terms of the studio update for autumn and winter for the rest of the year, and also the upcoming balance patch. And things are looking pretty positive for Guild Wars 2 in the coming months in terms of new story content, changes to the professions, and also new weapons being added to the classes so that we can have more fun tools to play around with. So we have a lot to get into, and this is going to be a video going over some of the more major highlights of the blog posts. First and foremost, the studio update for Guild Wars 2 in autumn and winter of 2023. The major thing is the new story and also the new map. And this is outlined in the blog post, or the header of Going Through the Veil. And this is the new chapter for Secrets of the Obscure. And they say, in Through the Veil, 3 new story chapters will pick up where the launch story concluded and continue the adventure as you take your first brave steps into a new world, Nyos, the realm of dreams. If you haven't gotten a chance to play yet, you've only got about 2 weeks, maybe less than, if you are watching this in the future, to get ready for the next installment. And for folks who have already played the launch story, they put together a little teaser. I'm gonna admit, this teaser didn't feel necessary, but it was nice. And in addition is so difficult to say for me. In addition to new story chapters, they're also launching the challenge mode for the Cosmic Observatory Strike mission, and also the onerous spun armor set, which I imagine is going to be the continuation of Legendary Armor, or have something to do with Legendary Armor. And on top of the story missions, coming the new map, the Realm of Nyos, the Realm of Dreams, and also the Observatory, Cosmic Observatory Strike Mission Challenge Mode. We're also getting a major feature known as Convergences, and this is an expansion to the Rift system that was introduced in Secrets of the Obscure, and I'm really excited about this. They had mentioned it previously, but we might have actually gotten a little screenshot showing the arena, an area of Nyos when you enter a rift. Together with fellow rift hunters, you'll open up a portal into the home realm of the Cryptus, where you'll need to have your weapons at the ready and your wits about you. There are no waypoints in the hostile territory you'll strike into. It'll take coordination between players to keep yourselves and your allies alive long enough to complete your objectives and take out the legendary Cryptus lurking in each convergence. The public version of Convergences operates on a timer, while squads can open Convergences on demand with unstable Cryptus motivations acquired from Tier 2 and Tier 3 bounties. You can also earn an unstable Cryptus motivation each week by participating in Convergences. So this is a system where you are going to get together with up to 50 other players to enter this realm, through this rift into the realm of Nyos to fight these legendary demons. Now, as many of you may know, if you've played through the rifting system in Secrets of the Obscure, when you are fighting the quote-unquote bosses, the elite mobs, the champion mobs, they're all the same, and as they rank up, they will reveal new abilities and add a little bit of extra mechanics that you might have to encounter and deal with. But when it comes to Convergences, I really hope that with these legendary enemies, they are unique models, they're bespoke, maybe they're named as well, and they come with a whole new set of attacks that we're going to have to deal with and learn. But just to touch on one component of Convergences that I actually am really appreciating is that there are no waypoints in Convergences. So this is going to be a system where you want to make sure that you are ready, that you're not going to die. And on top of that, we have Wizard's Vault Refresh. And we're gonna kind of just like gloss over this a little bit, but we're getting a new weapon set. This is kind of a recoloring of the sanctified weapons that we got last cycle. They're now red. But on top of this, we're getting a new infusion, which I think is the big ticket item. We're not getting a new mount, we're not getting a new glider, but we are getting a new infusion, and we're also getting the rest of the armor set of the Sanctified. Last cycle we got the gloves, the boots, and the shoulders. Now we're getting what seems to be the headpiece, the chest, the pants, and also the back piece. There's a back piece. I wonder if that's also going to be a glider cape. I'm going to talk about what's under a world versus world section, which I think this has been mislabeled. I would have labeled this as Guildhall improvements, because this is actually really exciting. Guildhalls have been long unattended to. In January of 2024, they're expanding the ways you can use guild halls to create unique gameplay experiences with a guild hall arena update. And this includes a selector to control which game mode rules you want in your arena, if you want PvP balancing, if you want world versus world balancing. And in addition, they're introducing options to select teams outside of the confines of the guild arena, so you can use the entire guild hall as an arena, essentially. You can create arenas or guild halls that are designed as massive PvP maps, so you and all of your guild mates can just fight it out. And I'm really excited to see the gameplay potential that players can create with this, and to create and allow for the community to create kind of like open source sandboxy game modes. I wonder if we're going to be able to place PvP traps outside of the arena and kind of create an entire, like, the geography of the guild hall can kill you and have to be careful of where you step. I think if they continue to expand upon this, guild halls in essence might just be like an entirely new PvP mode that the community can kind of charge forward with. I'm really excited. I know Hardstuck is a huge community guild, and they always have events rolling, so I'm super excited to see if Hardstuck will do something with this update, and just other people, what they will do with this update. I think that's really exciting. But yeah, that's kind of the blog post in terms of story content, guild hall updates, convergences, and some extra fun events that are going to be ran throughout the time of winter and early 2024. Now I want to talk a little bit about weapon skills and balance, and then get into some of the highlights for the balance patch, because this is where I really enjoy. This is where I kind of like to look at the numbers and look at the design, most importantly, in terms of how it's going to feel. So yeah, we're getting a balance patch November 28th. Speaking of November 28th, they say, this is also an important day because you will get your first chance to try out a new weapon on your favorite profession. While this Guild Wars 2 Secrets of the Obscure feature will launch during our second major expansion update in early 2024, we're giving all players a chance to demo the expanded weapon proficiencies early to test them and provide feedback. The special beta event will run from November 28th around 9 a.m. Pacific time until 10 p.m. Pacific time on December 3rd. So you're getting about, more or less a week or so to test out these new weapons for each of the professions. So not only are we getting the balance patch for the professions, we're also getting to test out the new weapons and how they feel with this new balance patch. And speaking of changing up existing skills, we had our balance patch preview 2 days ago, and I was waiting for everything to settle, for the dust to settle to make this build, so I wanted to incorporate the blog post and the balance patch. And I'm going to go through each of the professions and talk a little bit about some of the key elements, 1 or 2 key elements I like about each of the professions and their balance updates. Well, for Ellie, we're getting some improvements to Catalyst in terms of their hammer skills, and also with Empowered Empowerment, which is a trait for Catalyst. This trait will now cause elemental empowerment to always be 50% more effective. Effectiveness at the maximum number of stacks is unchanged. So on top of this, one thing that I really enjoyed about this update is Tornado. Its cooldown is being reduced from 150 to 60 seconds in PvE only, which is really good. Elementalist doesn't have, in my opinion, the best elite skills out of all the professions, and Tornado was at a huge cooldown. So this is going to be nice if you want to pop up into Tornado and use Tornado. Now only a minute cooldown. I will say it is a cantrip, and I know cantrips have a certain element of transformation to them, and also like instant activation. Instant activations, whatever. I kind of wish this was no longer a transform ability. I kind of wish that you just placed down a tornado at a location and then it cycled through like 4 elemental states, just so you can have more flexibility. I think one thing that holds me back from taking tornado is that transformation aspect and removing all of your other abilities and all of your utility skills and your weapon abilities. And I don't know, tornado just to me has never been a super impactful elite skill in the way that it is designed. Next, for engineer, once again, I'm not a huge engineer player, but one thing I did like was Bandage Blast. This skill will now directly target up to 5 allies with bandages instead of firing them in a fan-shaped area. So this is, I imagine, going to be like a larger radius, and then it's going to just like target them automatically, which is really cool. Bandages will only hit their intended target unless that target is at full health. And then further updates to some of their support traits. And then for Scrapper, one thing that I liked was System Shocker. This will give you barrier when you disable a foe. This barrier is now also going to be shared to allies around you, so you can play a little bit more of that defensive bruisery Scrapper and defend your allies a little bit better. So let's talk about Guardian, my main. Not gonna lie, a little light. Few things. Strength in Numbers, which is a Valor trait, has been renamed to Redemption, past Lesser Litany of Wrath when you activate Virtue Skill 3. Lesser Litany of Wrath lasts for 3 seconds. This is not going to be something that you want to take if you're on Firebrand, I will say that. Unless you want to pop F3 and then immediately go into like F1. Lesser Litany of Wrath is when you do damage, you heal yourself. So that'll be nice. It's a bit more of that like self-sustain if you're able to build up some of that damage. But one thing that I would love to see is it's in this same row of Valor. I know what it is. No, Communal Defense is not Valorous Defense. Communal Defenses. Blocking an attack grants Aegis to nearby allies, but it's on a 15-second cooldown. I'd much rather this be blocking an attack grants barrier to allies on like a 1-second cooldown, so that you can kind of be that consistent rolling defense strategy. And I think that would be a little bit more of an interesting choice rather than one packet of Aegis every 15 seconds where you have to block in turn. I don't know. I've always thought about that, but anyways, Dragon Hunter, Piercing Light, which is your adept trait for traps. This one used to cause traps to slow. This will now give you Aegis when you use a trap skill. Nice. I kind of would have preferred if this was like Hunter's Fortifications, which is the Grandmaster trait that no one takes, I think. I certainly don't take it. I wouldn't see a reason to take it. It's not the most interesting Grandmaster. I've always wondered and would have loved and will love if that Grandmaster trait for Dragon Hunter Fortifications, if that were to allow you to place traps at range. I think that'd be really cool and really good and kind of a defining trait for a Dragon Hunter. But this will now give you increased access to Aegis. Not like Guardians needed it, but there you go. Now for Mesmer. Mesmer actually got a whole bunch of cool support changes that I'm really, really excited about. And this kind of leads me down a path of like, oh, is Mesmer Rifle going to be a support weapon? Ooh, are we going to be shooting bullets at our allies? I hope so. I think that'd be really fun. But this is going to be a balance patch, kind of improving their support capabilities, giving them more on-demand healing through their traits, increased access to condition cleansing. Let's go through a few here. Illusionary Defense has been reworked. Grant protection to nearby allies when you use a Shatter skill. Protection duration scales based on the number of shattered clones. So this is going to be, instead of just like a static defense increase for yourself, now going to be an ally defense increase to share out protection, which is a very strong boon. Chaotic Transference. When you grant Chaos Aura to yourself, also grant it to nearby allies. When you grant Chaos Aura to an ally, also grant them regeneration. I think this is really cool. I've always loved the idea of a utility skill granting Chaos Aura to yourself and allies around you, and then having a trait that will, like, when you grant Chaos Aura to an ally, you heal them or you grant them barrier. This is kind of in that Sentiment. I really love this trait. This is going to make staff a little bit more interesting, because that's the only way that you can kind of give yourself an on-demand chaos aura. I would love to see a type of utility skill, maybe null field or feedback, give out chaos aura as well. Illusionary membrane. Oh, speaking of, gain chaos aura when you use shatter skill 2. You'll increase damage when you have chaos aura. I like that a lot. So you're going to have ample access to a chaos aura through your F2, no matter what. Big. I see what they did there. Okay, nice. Nice. Illusionary inspiration. This was a Grandmaster trait. It's now being moved to the minor Grandmaster slot, replacing Healing Prism. This trait now increases outgoing healing in addition to its previous effect. So, whenever you summon a clone, you heal allies around you, and that healing is being increased to allies, and you're just, ooh, okay. Mesmer is gonna be really fun. Oh, I like this a lot. Restorative Illusions has been moved to the Grandmaster tier, replacing Illusionary Inspiration, and the healing and condition removal now also affects nearby allies. So whenever you shatter a clone, you will now heal yourself and allies, and also remove conditions. Ego Restoration is a new trait. Fills the Master tier slot previously held by Restorative Illusions. Create a clone after using a healing skill. Okay. Temporal Enchanter. Increases super speed duration from 2 to 3 seconds, increase resistance duration from 2 to 3 seconds, and increase the area of effect. Mental Defense has been reworked. Distortion grants resistance and breaks stuns from nearby allies. So, you have a nice ally stun break if you want to go with that. I actually really loved Mesmer. I didn't really look at it too deeply, but I'm interested to see how these support features are going to feel. Next, Necromancer. They've just changed around some of the curses. Terror has been moved to Grandmaster and has been increased in its damage and increased the condition scaling from 0.4 to 0.5. You'll be getting more out of that fear. Parasitic Contagion has been moved to the Master tier. And, yeah. Some Reaper changes. Blighter's Boon will now always heal and grant life force regardless of your Shroud state, but reduce the base healing from 197 to 85 to compensate. Okay. Ranger's balance patch is entirely focused around pets. Improving pets, changing the way pets work, streamlining them. All basic pet attacks are now affected by quickness. Pet skills that affect allies do not count the pet they originate from in the target cap. And I'm not going to be going through all of this because there are so many. Next, Revenant. Revenant got some interesting hammer buffs. Not necessarily like what it'll be better. Not necessarily what I was expecting, but better nevertheless. Some damage improvements, but importantly, Field of the Mists is kind of an updated skill now. Field of the Mist now grants Aegis to the user on activation and will fire a projectile at up to 5 enemies around the target. The projectile destruction wall will now activate immediately. So you're getting that defense with destroying projectiles. You're now getting that personal Aegis generation. And also you're now firing out projectiles to get use out of that combo of the field and just strike enemies. And also, Coalescence of Ruin has been fixed, kind of. They say this was like an intentional change, but it's now going to originate at the player's location, so you can always hit targets no matter where they are positioned, which is good. And some interesting shield changes. Envoy of Exuberance, the 4th ability, now grants protection to allies at its impact point instead of when it passes through them, and will also grant Aegis on top of it. The velocity of the projectile has been increased, and the healing coefficient has been increased as well. So this is going to be a much more impactful support ability. And also, Crystal Hibernation, the 5th ability, is getting a support functionality as well. This skill now also heals allies in a radius of 360 around the user. This is an ability where you will plant yourself in place, block attacks, and heal you. This is also going to be sharing out that healing to allies around you. And Vindicator got some nice changes with their master traits. These were always a little Ugh. I only ever took Song of Arboreum, but these are now more interesting. Reaver's Curse has been reworked. It reduces the recharge of Energy Meld, and Energy Meld no longer... Oh, no. That's not that. Energy Meld enhances the effects of your next dodge, depending on what dodge you have. That's really good. So if you want to like play into that dodging playstyle, you might take Reaver's Curse. Aang Sayon's Trust, this is what I was getting to, has been reworked. Energy Meld no longer has an energy cost and grants energy when used. So you could just like cycle this like on demand to get that endurance generation. And Song of Arboreum, which I actually really like, but they changed it. Energy Meld grants more energy and also grants its energy and vigor to nearby allies. If Daredevil got some nice, I won't say nice, but did get some staff changes. Debilitating Arc, your third ability, now is a flip over to Helmet Breaker, which will leap at your foe, dealing damage and inflicting daze. Dust Strike is no longer a linear attack, but instead an area attack around you, and will reflect projectiles. And your elite skill Impact Strike will now evade attacks. Warrior. Not gonna lie, didn't really take too much time to read up on Warrior, but I did like Soldier's Focus, increase the healing attribute scaling, increase the protection duration, and that's nice. I like it. Vengeance, your downstate skill, where you can get back up, and if you kill a target, have a chance of rallying. Well, in PvE now, it will always be 100%. You will always get back up, which is maybe a little overpowered. Depending on, I mean, I guess it depends on the situation you're in. It does. So it's not too bad. But it's really interesting for warriors. I like that a lot. And then Vengeful Return has been reworked and renamed to Stalwart Focus. So this is now your support ability that you might want to like run. Increase the incoming healing effectiveness and outgoing healing to allies. So you're just going to be healing yourself more, and if you are built for it, you are able to heal allies for more. Also, they showed us the new relics, which I was not expecting. They didn't have to do that, but they did. So I'm going to go over those now. Relic of Nyos, removing a condition from yourself heals you. Relic of Febe, when you use a healing skill, grant nearby allies swiftness and remove movement impairing conditions from them. Relic of Karakosa, heal other allies when you successfully combo a field with a blast finisher. This could be really interesting depending on the healing scale. And not going to say anything, but Warrior is getting staff, and a lot of people have been wanting it to be a support weapon, and you have a lot of potential to have blast effects if Warrior uses it as like a martial weapon. Just saying. I'm just saying. Relic of Norris. Grant stacks of Norris's Hunger every interval when you remove boons from enemies. Consume 10 stacks to grow larger, dealing increased damage, taking reduced damage, and converting a percentage of outgoing damage into healing. Relic of the Midnight King. Grant might and fury to nearby allies when you disable an enemy. So you're going to be able to just like have that rolling momentum. And then Relic of the Demon Queen. This was huge. Relic of the Demon Queen. Poison that you apply reduces healing by an additional amount. Disabling a foe applies poison. Thieves are going to be a pain. Thieves are going to be a pain, and also Necromancers are going to be a bit of in their healing reduction department. I think this is a super interesting idea for a relic to enhance and alter the way that a condition works with that, you know, reduction of healing component. Poison, of course, does apply damage over time, but that reduced healing is pretty impactful in competitive modes. So I think this is really cool. Not everyone was your roundup for what Guild Wars 2 is doing for these coming months. I think it's pretty exciting. I think that there's going to be a lot of content coming our way to get back into some Guild Wars 2 and to enjoy the game. That's all I really have to say. That's all I gotta say, guys. That's all I gotta say. Thank you all so much for coming on by and watching. I know it's been a bit of a hot minute. I did get a little burnout, and I've been very busy. Thank you for sticking around if you have. And I hope to catch you all soon when we get to step foot into Nios. Thank you all. Subscribe, like, comment, and all that stuff, and I'll see you later. Bye, everyone.